Well folks, we are here today at Ultra Nulgath to have a look and update the very old and outdated battle guide for this. We will do a speed run and then a more standard class composition, and lastly one without forge at all. So that should be quite good if you don't have access to any of those. But first of all, let us begin with the speed run. So we're going for a Legion Revenant, Dragon of Time, 2 lots of them, and also a Lord of Order with a Scroll of Enrage. If you need to, please do pause the screen so you can see our forge setups that were being used. The potions are also included. So in this, everyone is focusing on Nulgath. We're not even worrying about the blade, and then you'll beat him in about 30 to 40 seconds depending on how much damage you are doing overall. So the only thing to note is the Lord of Order taunts pretty much straight away on Nulgath, and then you just have to look out for some particular text coming along just to help keeping your team alive. And the text you're going to be keeping an eye out for is this one that appears right now. So when you see behold the power of the abyss and you're the Lord of Order, just hit a taunt on that. It does happen again in just a moment, and that will just help keep your team alive. And as you'll see, Nulgath will be defeated very quickly. Whilst I've got a second, massive shout out to everyone that you can see on screen for helping me out with these particular runs. It's mega appreciated, as I know you don't have to stick around doing these standard runs. Now, talking of standard runs, here is a normal setup with Forge, however, this time round. So Legion Revenant, Archpaladin, Dragon of Time, Lord of Order. Archpally and Legion Rev will be using the Scrolls of Enrage and looping the taunts. You can swap Dragon of Time if you choose with either Stonecrusher, Quantum Chrono or Archfiend. Now let us talk about the strategy. So Legion Revenant and Archpaladin are both looping taunts. Legion Revenant, Archpaladin, Lord of Order all focus your damage on Nulgath, and then Dragon of Time focuses the DPS on the blade until it's got about 300k HP remaining, as by that point it will have enough time to just be passively defeated by the multi-hitting attacks in this comp. So this is how the battle ends up looking. As I said, if you have no idea about how to loop taunts, it is very straightforward. You just pick who's going to go first. In my case, it was me with the Legion Revenant taunting first, so I hit Scrolls of Enrage, and then it's just a case of keeping an eye on that skull icon, which is showing on the status effects underneath Nulgath. We'll touch on taunting a little bit more in the more standard run we're going to do in the last section of the video. The next thing to note in this battle is the sword, when it goes down, will respawn. So when you've seen it respawn and you're the Dragon of Time or whatever class you've decided to play that particular role in the group battle, then you need to make sure you start attacking it again down to that sort of 300k HP mark. And also, if you are a Lord of Order or Archpaladin, you need to be timing your heals. The general rule I stick to whenever I'm playing one of those classes is I give it about 3 seconds after I've seen the other person heal before I use my own, and that generally will keep you in time with each other. Lastly, here is the standard run with no forge setup that we are going to be using. Legion Rev, Archpaladin, Dragon of Time, Lord of Order, very similar to before, except this time we are going for all aura enhancements and standard ones. You will have an Archpally and Legion Rev using Scrolls of Enrage, and it is the exact same strategy as we looked at just a moment ago, in case you've decided to skip the video onto this particular point. Now let's touch on taunting yet again. So the battle is about to begin and I'm the first taunter, so I've hit Scrolls of Enrage, which is on my skill 6, and you can now see the skull icons have appeared underneath Nulgath. The one that moves faster is the one you need to be focusing on, and as that is about to run out, the other taunter has hit their scrolls to keep the skull icon alive. Right now that skull icon is about to run out, so the other taunter has just hit it and regenerated it. As you can now see, my Scrolls of Enrage have become available. The skull icon's about to vanish, so I hit it. That is the process of taunting, and you just take it in turns. But like I say, we can look at that in more detail if people actually want a little bit of guidance on how to go about doing that properly. Other than that, it's literally the exact same process as we looked at just a moment ago, except a tiny bit slower. You want to make sure, if you're the Dragon of Time or whoever's in that particular role, you're focusing on the sword down to 300k HP remaining, and then you can just go and attack Nulgath, knowing that you'll passively be defeating the blade. Keep an eye on it respawning, because as soon as it respawns, you want to be repeating that process. If you choose to totally ignore that advice and keep the blade alive, you are going to be getting wiped during a prolonged encounter like this one is here. But to be honest, as long as you're heal timing, again as we said earlier, just taking it in turns between Lord of Order and Archpaladin, making sure there's a nice gap in between, your team's going to stay alive and you'll be absolutely fine. We are doubling up a little bit here, so you can get away with it. It's not quite as intense as some of the Ultra battles that you'll be going along and doing in game, and then eventually after a nice amount of time, Nulgath will be nearly down. So guys, as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do leave the video a like, and of course subscribe. We will all be back very soon to bring you Champion Dracoth. He is up next as we continue going through the Ultras, giving you speed runs and up-to-date strategies in order to go through and hopefully defeat them with a bit more ease. So until next time, have a lovely day, and I'll see you all again incredibly soon.